Hello everyone, this is Pilpoh and welcome to my All the Mods 10 Tips and Tricks Guide. So I do have a completely kitted out, completed world right here. If you do want to get access to this, then there will be a download link in the Discord. Link for that is in the description of this video. So first up, VeinMiner is in the pack. Press the key to the left of the 1 key and it will go up to 64 blocks. I'm going to show you that again on this tree over here. You don't have to have a tool on you or anything like that. You just mine an entire tree just like that. Definitely worth mentioning that you can press the vein mine button and then shift, use your scroll wheel, and you can change the shape. So in our case, we've changed it to mining tunnel. And what that does is it makes you a little mining tunnel. So it will go all the way down in like a diagonal pattern. Very useful to begin with. Now, next thing you might want to do is get into the silent gear mod. So here's how I suggest you get there as soon as possible. So you need to put 3 cobblestone in an upside down V, put a bit of dirt with that, and you get yourself a stone anvil. Also, you might have seen that I made this knife earlier. That was 2 right here. So it's like a diagonal sword. Place the stone anvil down, put a piece of log in there, and then you can right click that. And you get yourself some of these template boards. Now, if you use the template boards like you would a pickaxe, you can get yourself a pickaxe template. You use it like you would a axe, you can get yourself an axe template. Now, using the axe template, you can actually make yourself a stone axe head, just like that. And if you combine that with a stick, you get yourself a stone axe. Another way to do it is just to make a stone axe and then craft it up. So in this case, we've got a stone pickaxe. We can craft that up to make a silent gear pickaxe. What's really good about the silent gear pickaxes is they never break. So you can always repair them if needed. Another really nice thing is you can replace the tool head. So I just made a diamond pickaxe head right there. And we can replace the stone pickaxe head we've got with a diamond pickaxe. And there you go. There's your diamond pickaxe. And again, this can be repaired with diamonds like whenever you want. So if we take a tool rod and we put that with that and we swap out the rod, does this make this the same pickaxe that we had at the beginning? Or is this a new pickaxe? Like Trigger's broom all over again. Once you get yourself a bit of iron and a diamond, you can make yourself one of these sturdy repair kits. You can make some cheaper ones before that, but I'd always recommend going for the sturdy one if you can. Now, you can fill this with diamonds, just like this. You can see that there's a tiny little durability bar right there. So let's take that one right there. And if we use a little bit of durability on this, so I'm just going to mine up like a big area if I can. There you go. This has got some durability missing. We can put that with the sturdy repair kit. And you can see this completely repairs the diamond pickaxe. This is the same diamond pickaxe this time. It's worth mentioning, at least at this point, that you can't use obsidian to repair diamond tools like you used to be able to in previous versions. So I don't know if that's going to be changed at some point, but I think it's worth mentioning. Right, moving on to the next tip, which is going to be all about how to find things. So this is a nature's compass. This is one of the best things that has ever been invented, in my opinion, in modded Minecraft. This basically does the /locate command for biomes, and it's got a lovely menu. So if you craft one of these, really easy to craft. It is just some logs, a compass, and some saplings. If you right-click it, you get a lovely menu where you can just say, I want to go find, in the overworld, a desert biome. So you click on it like that. And then if we have a look, it says there's a desert biome 1,400 blocks in this direction right here. One of the best ones is obviously the deep dark biome because you need to find that for ancient cities. And apparently there's one just over here. Well, that's not too bad, is it? It's right under that mountain, I'm guessing. Now there's also an explorer's compass, which is also amazing. If you right click on that one, you can pick any of the structures that are generated in your world, and it will tell you how to get to there. So I can do air balloon, for example. And now if I have a look on that one, it says there's one 1,300 blocks in that direction. Definitely worth mentioning that this one is slightly more harder to get because you need netherite, enderium, and you need a bunch of echo shards to make the recovery compass, but it's there as an option if you want to rush that. Next up, we're going to talk about a little bit of cheeky transportation to get around this crazy world. I would always recommend making a jetpack to begin with. So that is going to be 11 of these basic coils right here. always 11, and you turn 5 of them into these wooden energy cells, these batteries. Make sure you take out some of those. So you need 3 of the coils twice for the wooden thrusters. And you also need to make yourself one of these wooden capacitors. And then you need this right here, which is the leather strap that goes in the middle. And that will craft you one of these wooden jetpacks. So combine the wooden jetpack with the free runners, and you got yourself a little bit of flight, so you can fly yourself around. Now you might wonder why this is filling up with power still. Now power is a thing that you're going to have to think about right here. And what I've done over here is I've got myself a wind generator, really easy to make early game. You need a tiny bit of mechanism, but super easy. And I've made one of these player transmitters. This is just the starter one, so it's not going to transmit much power, but it's decent enough to charge all of the stuff on you, including your free runners, which are also from mechanism. Free runners actually mean that you've got step assist, which is super useful. It means that you don't take any hunger loss when you're jumping up and down. Any of these right here. Really useful for when you're coming up from your mine. You don't have to use stairs or anything. It's so good. But it also means you don't take any fall damage, but it does cost energy. And because your wooden jetpack also costs energy, it's good to have this thing, the player transmitter. Now, the player transmitter, if we have a look at it, not the easiest thing to get, I will admit. Straight off, that is. But you need one of these aerial pearls. Aerial pearl, which is a ender pearl right there with some iron bars and some of this dielectric paste. Now, you can do this, so you don't actually need to go to the nether to get dielectric paste. But later on, you might want to do this recipe because it's just easier overall. But with the lava and some coal and some clay, you can get yourself some dielectric paste. Use some of this dielectric paste to get yourself a blank card because of these dielectric rods. Good old rod right there. Get yourself a blank binding card. Right click it in the air and it will bind to you. So if we have a look in here, this one is bound to Pilpoh. And you can see this wind turbine just on its own, wind generator, has already put in like nearly 600,000 FE. And if we're flying about, you can actually see this goes down and goes back up. So I'll do that. We're not actually using that much. It actually went down a tiny bit and went back up because this is generating lots of power for us. Now, the best thing in the game for travel is definitely going to be the Pylon mixed with a potion. So we'll look at that right now. So Apotheosis has been split down into several mods in Allthemods 10. And because of that, there's this one mod which actually adds a flight potion. And that's what I've got right here. So the flight potion's really easy to make. You just need a phantom membrane, fermented spider eye, hopped chorus, so you will have to go to the end. You need some redstone to make it like even better. Makes it 15 minutes. And you add one more redstone to it, and you get yourself 30 minutes. Now, if we were to drink one of these, we'll have 30 minutes worth of flight right there. And you right-click with one of these potion filters, and you'll see that the flight has gone away. You'll also see in here, it says 1794 out of 3600 seconds in progress. You need 1 entire hour of a potion. And when you right-click this, it takes the potion off you and puts it on this card. So we can drink this one over here. We can right-click that as soon as we can. And you can see we're nearly there. That's why you actually have to do like the entire thing and use all of the potions right here. And now we've got an active flight potion. Now, again, you do need like a few sets of stuff, which is kind of hard to get to begin with. But this is kind of very middle to late game. It's like barely anything you need for this. So get a block of emerald, and if you place one of these infusion pylons down, I pop that there, and you put one of these potion filters with flying on it, and I take off my jetpack, I take off my free runners, we can actually fly around. I'm not in creative or anything, I'm literally just flying, because we've got creative flight. It's worth mentioning that the potion filters, these things, they need over 1 minute worth of the potion. So sticking to the theme of transportation, we have got Waystones, and warp plates. So this warp plate over here is connected to that warp plate over there. Thank you, zombie, for that. So what we can do is just step on this one, and it takes us over to this one. They are cross-dimensional as well, so you can put that one in, I don't know, the nether, if you fancy it. And then you can step on this one, and it will take you to the other one. It's pretty neat. Now, of course, there's Waystones as well, and you can find a lot of these in villages, funny enough. So you can right-click on this, and you can go to another Waystone that you've already clicked on. So we're going up here, and down there is where our little base is that we've got. Again, really handy. You'll probably end up with a ton of these by the end of your playthrough. So make sure that you name them nicely. Otherwise, it can get very confusing. Right, let's circle back round to power. So I would highly recommend making these wind generators to begin with. They are really, really good power. Just to start you off, I wouldn't say use them the entire playthrough, but it will at least get you to the point where you can get better power later on. So, easiest way to transmit your power is to use one of these things called an ender cell. These are relatively easy to make. I mean, the higher tier ones are definitely more expensive, but to begin with, you don't need anything fancy. You will need to set up this energizing orb, though, just to get you started. But if you want to have a look at a little guide on that, then I have a Let's Play where I use a lot of power to begin with. So I will link that in the description of this video. So all you need to do with the ender cell is place it down, but it doesn't come with any storage capacity. So you will need to add storage capacity. I always recommend using a battery instead of an energy cell. So in this case, I'm going to use the example of the nitro, which is the highest tier. So this one requires the spirited, the niotic. It goes all the way down to the original capacitor, the one we're using. But the nitro cell actually needs 2 of the previous. And each one of these needs a lot of stuff, right? So it's definitely worth using the batteries than it is using the energy cell. So we can pop this one in. So shift click, and that'll put a whole million power in there. This is actually powering this right here. And I've got a metallurgic infuser that I'm going to put in the middle here. And I'm going to use one of these ender gates. Now, again, these ender gates are made relatively similar to how you make the ender cell. And you get 4 of them each time. But if I pop it on there, it will transfer the power from the ender cell. Now, that is linked to your person. So if you're on a multiplayer server, you each get your own like ender cell, ender gate sort of network. Speaking of multiplayer, I use Apex Hosting. They are a sponsor of the channel. So have a look at the link for that in the description of this video. So, you've got yourself a flight potion, you found yourself an ancient city, you got yourself a netherite pickaxe, you are ready for some Allthemodium. So, it's relatively easy to find Allthemodium in the deep dark. The way that you do it, or the way that I tend to do it now, is to take off my night vision goggles, and if you've got flight, you can literally fly around and look for it. Now, I already know there's one over here, but you can see it sort of gives off a bunch of light. It doesn't help that with shaders on, you can see like almost all of the other bits of ore as well. So if we turn the shaders off, you can see all of those disappear. And as you fly around, you can see that one there is giving off a decent amount of light. So there we go. There is some Allthemodium. Of course, we're not going to mine this straight away because we don't have any fortune. And of course, we want to have fortune for this. So I'm going to head back and we're going to get easy fortune. So on your original mining adventures, you probably will have found some of this dark ore from Evilcraft. And you actually need this to begin with Evilcraft. So you need it to get yourself some of these spikes. A bit of iron and one of these dark gems gets you some spikes. And then you want to make this blood extractor as soon as you can and just stick it in your inventory. I'm just going to grab this one. Just like that. And then when you're killing stuff, you will eventually get yourself like an absolute ton of blood in this. You need 5,000 millibuckets to even get started, in my opinion. Now, it can be anything, so I'm just going to show you with this chicken right here. And we got 97 millibuckets of blood right there. There you go. That was easy. It's got a lovely little bit down in the corner here, which shows you how full this is. This is now 5,000. So, now that you've got 5 dug out like that, you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've got to be kind of quick with this. Spray one of your dark gems in, and you get yourself one of the dark power gems. use the dark power gem to make yourself a blood infusion core. So you actually need one more bucket of blood. I just gave myself a bucket of blood right there. And what you can do with this is you can just place it down and leave it. Right, if that takes too long, you can always pick that back up and put it in one of these drying basins from Integrated Dynamics. It's made by the same mod author, so they are kind of interchangeable. Hardened blood. There you go. Actually took longer than I thought it would. You actually have to smelt this in a furnace, and you get yourself 9 hardened blood shards. With these blood shards, you can combine it with the dark power gem, and you get yourself the blood infusion core. There you go, just like that. And you get yourself the blood infuser. This thing's really good. You can actually right-click your blood extractor on there, and it puts all the blood you've got carrying around with you into the blood infuser. Now, you can use the blood infuser with a dried bush. And by dried bush, I mean dead bush, obviously. And you need 800 blood, and that turns it into an undead sapling. Now, whilst you're out and about, you might find some of this condensed blood. You can put that in the side here, and it just converts into blood. So we're going to pop this in here. This does take a little bit of time. It's got a little progress bar. But just like that, you'll get yourself the undead sapling. Plant this down. Wait for this to grow, or bone meal it. Mine all of the bits of wood from it. Just like that. You do get these blood stains, but don't worry about those for now. Take these bits of wood, and you need to use these with one of the gems to get yourself some dark sticks. Take these new dark sticks, use some diamonds and some of that hardened blood, and you get yourself a vengeance pickaxe. This has got Fortune tier 5 on there. Now, take your vengeance pickaxe, throw it onto some obsidian with some books, just like that. Take an anvil, throw it on top, and it will pull off both the Fortune 5 and the Curse of Vengeance. Curse of Vengeance is really annoying, and also the pickaxe, the vengeance pickaxe itself, has like barely any durability. So you want to take the Fortune off of it, and then put it on your netherite pickaxe, just like that. So, of course, we're going to take the Waystone all the way back to our Allthemodium. And we are going to mine this. Make sure you're planted on the floor like this. And then mine it with the pickaxe. And you get... I only got 1. What are the odds? Right, I actually cheated in another one right there. So I could mine it again, see if we get more from the second one. Yeah, there you go. We got 2 out of the second one. So you do get more with Fortune. I wanted to just prove that. Now, you can actually give this raw Allthemodium ore to either a crushing spirit, or you can use one of these hammers. Now, these hammers are really good early game, especially the platinum ones, in my opinion, because they've got really good durability, and you don't really use platinum until, like, a lot later on when you're going to do, like, loads of modern industrialization and stuff. So if you use it really early on, all of your platinum, you'll get loads more by the time you get to MI anyway. You can double it, just like that. And I've got this unobtainium furnace right here, which I'm going to use to smelt all of that up. Highly recommend the first thing you use your Allthemodium ingots on, especially if you only get 1 and you smelt it straight away, so you literally only have 1 of these ingots. Turn it into nuggets, and then you can use those nuggets to make yourself a teleport pad. Let's pretend like we went and got ourselves an ender pearl. You can find these in the nether really easily, so I'm going to do that. And then you got yourself a teleport pad. I would also recommend making a second teleport pad, so you can go to not just the mining dimension, but the other. But the mining dimension is super, super useful in the beginning, because if we go to the mining dimension, it's a flat world, and underneath, so if I do, like, I don't know, small tunnel, and we go down like this, let's do large tunnel. I don't know, about 120. I think it was 120 that I found in my Let's Play series. Yeah, about 120. You will find yourself more Allthemodium down here. Way easier to find it in this world, especially as you can, like, properly strip this world out and not have to worry about destroying the overworld. It's worth mentioning as well, if I go into spectator mode, this is solid, so there's no way you can do, like, X-ray or anything in spectator mode for people. A couple of ways to automate this. You can either go the mystical agricultural route, which is some Allthemodium seeds. That is relatively expensive, though. You need a load of insanium for that. Whereas it's kind of not as expensive to go the bees route, in my opinion. So to make the Allthemodium bee, you do just need an ancient bee, which again isn't that easy to get, but it's is easier than getting loads of insanium in some cases. And you also need a withered bee. And again, that's not amazingly easy to get, but it's still easier in my opinion. Although I love bees, so I'm a little biased when it comes to bees. Whilst we're on the subject of bees, I will just say that it's easier to get insanium using bees than it is to make a massive lag farm out of it. So keep that in mind. I do have a video on that. It's called like the easiest way of getting insanium in Allthemods 10. I will link that in a card right now. It's definitely worth mentioning that the Osmium armor is actually better than netherite. Osmium's super easy to find to begin with, but if we hover over this and hold shift, you can see Osmium super easy, and it's the exact same as netherite boots, the exact same as the netherite leggings, exact same as the chest plate, but the helmet is slightly better. You can see that armor is +4 instead of 3. So that's a decent tip, I think. Always go for the Osmium armor. The Paxel's pretty good as well. Right, whilst we're on the topic of Allthemodium, here's a quick flyby of where to get Allthemodium, Vibranium, and Unobtainium. All of these say it on the actual ore themselves, but you can find Allthemodium in a deep dark biome. Vibranium can be found in the nether, so if we fly around for a bit, there we go. There's some right there. That was really lucky. And finally, you can get yourself a Unobtainium ore by going to the End Highlands biome. It's worth mentioning that you can use this destruction gadget from building gadgets to unveil all of the Unobtainium. If you do use this, it doesn't destroy Unobtainium. It's a bonus tip for you. Brilliant. So whilst you're here getting Allthemodium, you can also find some of this stuff. Suspicious clay. Now, that's normally around this thing right here. So you look at the portal, and then you look this way, and then you can see some... Sorry, this way. And then you see some suspicious clay right there. Now, sometimes it's covered in this stuff, the vein stuff. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that. You can sometimes get more than one as well. Now, you can right-click this, and you will always get yourself one of the upgrade kits for Allthemodium. So, another place you want to look for one of these upgrade kits is in a bastion. Now, it needs to be one of these types of bastions where you've got, like, loot at the bottom and everything. And you got this main room. And you will see that there's this stuff. Suspicious soul sand. Now, if they're like this, make sure you put a block underneath beforehand. Otherwise, they will fall. I'll show you, actually, if I do this. There you go. It just fell. And you won't get anything from it. Even this one up here will do the same if you try and use a brush on it. See? So, make sure you don't do that. Oh, now I need to find one that isn't broken. There you go. There's one over there. So you can right-click on this with a brush. Make sure there's something underneath it, as I said. And that will get you the Vibranium upgrade kit. Now, if we go back into the nether, you can right-click one of the teleport pads in the nether. And it will take you all the way to the other. Now, this is just like the companion piece to the mining dimension for the overworld. This is, in fact, a little bit like the nether. Okay, we spawned underneath again. So unlike older versions of all the mods, we've got a flight in the other. So we can fly around if we wanted to. You do want to try and find yourself one of these. This is a dungeon. And if you go right in the middle of this, and you dig down. Now, I put myself in the infinity armor because we're going to try and do this trial fight. Okay, come on. Everyone's pushing me around now. Come on, away you go. So what you do is you come over to this thing, and it should start up. As soon as you get to this point, there you go. There's the invoker spawning right there. And all you do is you have to kill as many of these things as you can. And when you're done with it, you do get yourself one of these Unobtainium smithing templates. It is very difficult, though. You might want to break some of the spawners before you do anything. And also, these guys keep flinging me around, which is very annoying. So there you go. That's how you get yourself the Allthemodium, Vibranium, and Unobtainium smithing templates. Right, next up, we're going to talk about spawners a little bit. So the best thing I can think of to talk about with spawners is that you can right-click on any mob, doesn't matter what it is, and you get yourself some of this DNA if you use one of these mob swabs. Now, these mob swabs are relatively easy to get. You just get some wool, 2 bits of wool, and it's like a little cotton wool swab thing. If you use one of these experience holders from Just Die Things, you can right-click on that if it's got some experience in there with a bucket, and you get yourself some XP fluid buckets. Or you can make one of these experience drain singularity tanks from mob grinding utils. Stand on top of it, and it will drain some of your levels out. And you can right click on that and get yourself a fluid XP bucket. Now, you use the mob swab, some seeds, either one of the XP buckets, it doesn't matter which one, and you get yourself some GM chicken feed. Sorry, chicken, you are going to be our little test bed.
Happy birthday, Taco!
Yeah, it does that every single time. So happy birthday, Dark Osto. So that gets you a spawn egg of whatever you swabbed. You can actually do it with bees. You can do it with, like, as I said, wither skeletons and things like that. The only thing is, like, boss mobs don't give you a egg anymore. And most of the boss mob eggs, if you do get them somehow, cannot be used on spawners like this. Now, that's a vanilla mechanic. If you use any kind of egg on a spawner, it will turn it into whatever the spawn egg was, right? So if I get a wither skeleton spawn egg, there we go, wither skeleton spawn egg. If I right click that on there, it will spawn wither skeletons. Although it won't, because it's too bright out for it to spawn any wither skeletons. It needs to be a bit darker than that. Now, of course, you might not want your wither skeleton spawner to be right here, or you might have found a spawner elsewhere that you want to bring back home. Now, you might have noticed I put Silk Touch on this Allthemodium pickaxe. And what that means is we can mine this and it picks it up as a regular spawner. This is from Apothic Spawners that adds that. So Silk Touch means that you can move spawners wherever you want. So we're going to pop it over here. Now, do a little Google down here for spawner, and then you can have a look at all the things you can do to the spawner itself. So you can add like a piston. So if you have a piston on you, you press the control key, you can have a look at this, and it says the spawn range is 4. If we use this piston on it, it goes up to 6. So that means that it will spawn up to 6 blocks away if it can spawn. There's a bunch of like really good things that you can do with this. So if we have a look at this again, you can use the fermented spider eye, meaning that it can spawn more things at once. You can use this thing over here called Youthful, which is, that's the turtle egg. You put that on there, it will make them babies. So if you use it on a zombie spawner, for example, you'll get loads of baby zombies. If you use it on a villager, you'll only get baby villagers. So that is kind of useful for a few mods. It's not so useful in this pack right now, but it's there if you want it. You can do the echo shards. These two, this one and where's the other one? This one. Pointed dripstone and echo shards are new in this version. If you use 5 echo shards on it, they'll drop a ton of extra loot. So it's definitely worth doing. You can use wool on there to get silent, meaning that the mobs don't make any noise. That's really dangerous, by the way. So make sure that you put one of these on there, a chorus fruit, because that means they've got no AI. They won't walk around. They won't really make a sound. And they'll just be there to be slaughtered and give you drops. Now, there's the sugar as well, which does minimum spawn delay. Gas tiers, which means it can have a maximum entities around it of 32. I think by default, it's a lot lower than 32. Again, the clocks mean that it decreases the amount of ticks between spawns. Again, the maximum number of ticks. Pointed dripstone means that you can reduce the health of the mob to 20% at max. So you can put on there, I think they all start at 100. And then you use a bunch of these on there until it goes down to 20%. And some things you can literally one hit by punching them. So it's really useful. Nether stars always good because it means they ignore players nearby. So it basically makes them a factory. So you could be like, I don't know, in the other. And as long as that chunk is loaded, it will still spawn stuff. So it's very good. Soul lantern means it ignores light. Again, really, really good. You've got the conduit that ignores conditions. Now that's an interesting one. It used to be dragon eggs, but now they've changed it to conduits. But ignoring the spawn conditions means, for example, you don't need this, the ignores light. It will just spawn in. It doesn't matter if it's too bright out. It will just be like, yep, I'm spawning. So yeah, all of these quite useful. You can have this one, which will set them on fire. And then all you need to do, if you don't want any of those or you want to reduce them, so like the spawn range here is 6. That's quite high. I would like to reduce that. what I would do is I would get myself a piston. I'd get myself some quartz, just a plain bit of nether quartz like that. And you can right-click it on there, and it decreases instead of increasing. So we can do that again even. So we want it at spawn range of 2. And there you go, it's done. Now, the final one is also really good, which is the redstone comparator. So make sure we do this without having the nether quartz in our inventory right there. So if we right-click it on there, this makes this redstone controlled. So you can put a little lever on there, and you can turn it off and on using the lever. There is loads of different ways of picking up the drops that you get from these mob spawners. So you could use a sophisticated backpack with a magnet upgrade. You could use, I don't know, loads of different stuff. So yeah, pick and choose what you want. I will suggest that you only account for the stuff that you want to get from the mobs, right? So for example, with wither skeletons, I do not want their swords, and they do drop like, you know, stone swords and stuff. So I don't want those. So I will void everything that isn't just the wither skeleton skulls, coal, and bones. That way, I don't have to like worry about loads of stone swords just being on the ground and despawning. That can cause a lot of lag on servers, so definitely watch out for those. Now, put myself in creative mode real quick, because what I could do is right here, I've made myself some of these extractors from Skycraft machines. Now, we can right-click them on the bottom of these so they're pointing down. You need the gold bit to be pointing down into the drawer. Now, if I get rid of those two right there, I can put a dragon head on top of one, and I can put a dragon egg on the other. And you'll see that they start doing the whole do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And every 15 seconds, we will get ourselves one of these dragon's breath and one of these dragon eggs. Actually, I think it's a bit longer for dragon eggs, but there you go. But that's really useful because you get like loads and loads of dragon eggs if you just leave this go in. So that's one of the first things I do whenever I get a dragon head and a dragon egg, is I will just go and make this. You can use these to get like loads and loads of different stuff. Grains of Infinity from Ender.io. You can make like granite. You just got to set them up in the orientation that they suggest. Now, when it comes to like the dragon egg and the dragon head, it is backwards like this, but if you just flip it the other way around, it will start working. So time in the bottle is a really important thing to get in single player. Don't use it in a multiplayer because it takes up loads of ticks on the server, speaking from experience. But really good because as soon as you get it, you start storing time. So we've got nearly 2 minutes worth of time in here. We can spam that on a machine and it will tick accelerate it. There's also the Time Wand from Just Dire Things. Again, don't use that on a server, but if you're going to play it on single player, I've got a little guide for that. So I will put that in the description now. I haven't really mentioned Just Dire Things yet, but it is super good. And maybe we'll go over it right at the end of the video. Now, this is going to be a weird one for some people because some people might not want to use this. And I know a lot of people in the past have said that it's cheating, but I don't particularly think it's cheating myself. But if you type /set home, you can set your home to be this block right here. So if I run off in this direction, or I go, I'll tell you what, let's go on this warp plate. Warp over to here, for example. But I want to go back to that. We do /home, and it will take us straight back here. Doesn't matter if we're out in the other, or in a different dimension, doesn't matter. You'll always come back to this exact spot. You might want to set it somewhere else, somewhere a bit more useful, like right in front of your crafting stations and stuff in your base. But yeah, I find it quite useful, especially when recording, because you can just fly back home whenever you want. And it skips like all the boring flying backwards and forwards. Although it does kind of make Waystones a little bit obsolete, because you can also type /back, and it will take you back to where you /home from. So I think there is a cooldown on /back though, so just keep that in mind as well. So I want to spend the last part of this video talking about Just Dire Things and how it has completely changed how this pack plays compared to previous versions of all the mods. So as you can see, there's so many things in Just Dire Things. You have got like loads of upgrades to the gear that you can do. You've got all of these different machines as well. You've got the simple block placer, but then you've got the advanced one as well, which can place anywhere. Oh, so good, honestly. You got the simple breaker and the advanced block breaker. Again, it can break stuff in a massive area. So good. Item collectors are in here. You've got the XP holder. You've got energy transmitters. Oh, amazing, honestly. pocket generator is really good as well. A lot of this stuff you'll use early on and probably into the late game as well. One of the coolest things is if you can get yourself some Eclipse alloy as soon as possible when it comes to like gear, you can use a flight module as well instead of using the Pylon. So this one right here is really cheap. If you look at that, it's just some feathers, phantom membranes, and some of these end crystals. So definitely one of those that you might want to go for. You got the machines like the Advanced Swapper. You got the Paradox machine, which like all of these deserve their own videos, to be fair. I do have a video, as I said, on the time crystal and how you can automate the time crystal, because it's not just setting it down, having a budding time crystal and letting it grow stuff. I do think that Dia has sort of nailed this version of Minecraft. It's like taken over a little bit, which is awesome, because the Dia mods are flipping insane. I don't really want to go over just Dia things too much in this video, because as I said, they all deserve their own video. But what I do have is an entire 100 episode series that I did as Allthemods 10 was coming out. Allthemods 10 is one of those packs that it gets updated frequently. So you might put it down for a week, come back to it, and it'll just be different because loads of new mods have been added. We are still waiting on Create at this point in time, so that's why I haven't mentioned any Create specific things, but I am assuming that Create will come to this version. If it doesn't, ignore what I just said, but still. Yeah, if you are interested in that, then links for all of that sort of stuff will be in the description of this video. I'm currently doing a multiplayer series where I'm playing with people from my Patreon. So the people that pay for my Patreon get access to my community server that I've got. And people that are also in my YouTube members as well, they also get access. So if that does sound like something you're interested in, then have a look in the links in the description for that as well. I think that's all I've got for today. If there's any like tips that you want to give, some early game, maybe some late game tips, I will be doing some more videos on like more focused tips, let's say. So like I want to do one on modern industrialization, things like that. So yeah, if there's any tips that you can give, then please pop them down in the comments and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, I forgot to talk about Theurgy.